We're good to go. Okay.
Great. Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Kate Sonka speaking. I'm the executive director here at Teach Access. We're really excited to have you all with us today. This is the kickoff for a brand new program, Teach Access by Design, that we're so excited to have all of you here. We know it's a busy time of year, so we appreciate you making the time to be with us today. We will have you out within an hour, so you will be out on time. And we have some things just to kind of get us started, have you start to meet us, meet each other, and then be able to understand what this program is moving forward. So yes, let's get into it. So we'll show you. If you want to go to the next slide, Rolando. So agenda. We did send that out in advance, and we can drop that link in the chat in a moment here. If you'd like to follow along while we're heading through, let me just grab that right now while I'm looking at it. Let me paste that in. There you go. That's our agenda for today. So of course, sort of the typical thing, welcome, housekeeping, and then we'll do some introductions, walk through sort of what these program expectations are for the next few meeting sessions. We do have an icebreaker exercise, and then reminders and next steps. So welcome. We're glad you're here. I see some familiar names on the list, so we're excited to see some of you back, and happy to meet some of you for the first time. So just to sort of help move this along smoothly, we ask that you do keep yourself muted when you're not actively speaking, but you're always welcome to speak. So if at any point you have a question or want to ask something, you can always raise your hand and we're happy to call on you. You can drop that in the chat. Rolando and I keep close attention to what's happening in the chat to be able to answer and address questions there. So you're very welcome to participate at any point, but for the background noise, it helps to keep everyone muted. We do have CART captions here today. So if you click the captions button or the CC button along the bottom of your screen, you will be able to access those. We are going to have you go into breakout rooms in the second half of this meeting. If you are someone who would like to be in a room with the CART captioner, please send a direct message to myself or to Rolando Mendez, and we'll make sure that we get you in that breakout room with the CART captioner. Oh, I did mention this. Questions at any time, we welcome them, comments. If there is a question or a comment you have that you'd rather remain anonymous for whatever reason, that is perfectly fine. Just send that to myself or Rolando directly and we can keep that anonymous for you. We do encourage you to upload a picture of yourself to your account, so that if you're choosing to keep your camera off, that there's a face that people can start to associate with your name. If you're willing to share that, or if you have an avatar or some other sort of picture or illustration, so people know who you are. We always encourage that. And of course, you can have your camera on or off. You can toggle and flip between both of those throughout the whole session. You never have to keep your camera on. I think that's it for housekeeping. Okay, so introductions. So I've already introduced myself, but Kate Sonka, Executive Director here at Teach Access. My email address is up on the screen. I'll read that out really quickly. It's Kate, K-A-T-E, at teachaccess.org. You're also very welcome to find me on LinkedIn. You can search my name and you'll find me there. Rolando, would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure, Kate. I am Rolando Mendez. I'm Director of Education, and my email address is Rolando, R-O-L-A-N-D-O, at teachaccess.org.
Thanks, Rolando. And as we get more into it, and thanks, our colleague Mindy is here in the room, and she's dropping those into the chat as well, if that's helpful. So a little bit about Teach Access. Again, some of these names, I've seen you in some of our other programming and accessing some of our resources, so you're probably familiar with us, but some of you may not be. So Teach Access, we are a national nonprofit organization. We were founded in 2016. We actually became a nonprofit in 2021. So in those first years, we were really a group of volunteers coming together around this common mission. We are registered in Michigan. I am based in Michigan. Rolando is based in Puerto Rico. We have another colleague in Michigan and one in Tennessee. And so, as a team of staff, we are spread around, and that makes us 100% remote. So, most and a lot of our programming is this sort of environment that we're in. We do appear in person at conferences, and as we continue to move forward, we'll be excited to do some trainings in person as well. But we are a remote organization, and we collaborate heavily with other educational institutions, industry partners, and disability advocacy groups across the country. Our focus is to support faculty and educators to teach about accessibility, so that students are graduating with this knowledge and are able to go out and bring that to whatever team they're joining as interns or as employees. So one of our key phrases that we say a lot and that we have up on the screen here is that we're focused on teaching accessibility and supporting efforts to teach accessibly. And so what does that mean? We will absolutely be getting into it more over the next few weeks. But the idea here is that as an organization, we're really focused on how do we support you all as educators or people who are supporting educators to teach about these topics. What resources do you need? What trainings do you need? We're less focused, or our primary focus is not on how to make those materials accessible. Obviously, crucially important, but that's less of our focus. And we will talk about it because we can't teach accessibility if we aren't using accessible materials, of course. But that's really what we're focused on. Because we really do envision a future where technology is what we call born accessible. So this idea that we're putting all these students out into the world that will create products, services, websites, apps, whatever it might be, that are accessible from the beginning. And it's not this sort of, oh, we got to the end and we totally forgot about it. What are we going to do now? And it really is meant to be a way to make what we're doing inclusive for everyone. We have a big goal. Our goal is to reach 1 million students by 2030. And as you know, the weeks move on, you'll hear more about some of our other programs that we have, or feel free to find us or follow us and you can hear about those. Some of our programs are direct to students. Some of them are direct to faculty and educators like yourselves. And so all of that combined, our goal is to reach 1 million students. I think. Okay, so we've talked at you now for 9 minutes or however long it's been. So we'd love to give you a couple minutes here, if you're willing, to type into the chat who you are. So we're suggesting maybe your name, what institution or organization you're coming from, your role, if you'd like to share that. And then, if you're willing to share, we're curious about what you learned about accessibility or disability in school. Was this something that you were taught when you were in school or not? So we'll pause here for a moment and let people type some things out. Feel free to drop in as you are ready. See some answers coming in, but we'll give it another minute or two for those who are still typing. Thanks, everybody. Keep it coming. I'll just look through the chat here. So welcome to Damien, coming to us from Adobe, who did not learn anything about accessibility in school. This is very common experience. Mercedes from Inter-American in Puerto Rico, welcome. Helen, hi Helen, I know you've joined us for some other programming. Good to see you again from the UK. Karen, hi Karen, coming from SUNY Potsdam. Have not learned anything through an explicit focus on own schooling. Yes, self-interest is how Karen's been learning about it, which is very common. Hector is from University of Maryland Eastern Shore. First learned about it during a master in rehabilitation counseling. So very specific programs where people maybe were learning about it, but maybe not in a broad sort of general education scenario, perhaps. Tommy, welcome. Have done a lot of learning on the job. Mary, hello. Manager of PD and training at Ed Plus. Didn't learn about it prior to going to ASU. I think that's probably Arizona State University. Michelle, welcome from Columbus State University. Took an undergrad class on accessibility and disability. Wow, that's great. Karen, welcome, Pacific University. Some experience with Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. Katrina, looks like there's 3 of you there. That's great, from ASU, instructional designers. Happy to have you here. Laura from SUNY Potsdam. Unsure if there was any learning about it in school, but that's very, very common. And then Adriana, welcome. Good to see you again. Learned about it in the master's in a general sense, but nothing in bachelor's degree. So thank you everyone for contributing there. Really, those responses are what we see a lot, where some people have learned about accessibility or disability in specific sort of programs or settings, but others are like, I'm self-taught, or I've come to it in different ways, and I've continued to seek out ways to learn more. And so we're glad you're here, because that's what this is going to be about. So I will turn it over to Rolando now so that he can share more about what this program is.
Thanks, Kate. This is Rolando speaking. And so Kate has gone over who we are as facilitators, as an organization, and you have introduced yourself. We're going to talk a little bit about our program, or what Teach Access by Design is. Our objectives for this program is for you to come out by week 10 and be able to define disability, types of disabilities, and models of disabilities, and how they relate to work we do in accessibility. Second is to be able to identify how the broader scope of accessibility and accessible design intersects with your disciplines and roles in education. As we saw from the chat, we have various roles here. We have faculty, we have instructional designers, practitioners. So we are going to help you and guide you in understanding how accessibility, if you don't know already, informs your disciplines and roles, and how you can then apply those principles of accessible and universal design into your instructional practices. Like Kate mentioned, when we started talking about Teach Access, we are more about the teaching accessibility part, but we cannot teach accessibility if we don't understand the principles of accessibility and how they relate to what we do, and how we can create accessible materials. Sorry about that. For completion requirements, we will spend the next 10 weeks together. For you to be able to complete this program, we require that you participate in all 5 discussions. Please be advised that we want this to be enjoyable learning experience. None of the activities have points, so we're not saying, hey, you did a great job. This is a formative process, and we're learning from each other through this process. So discussions or learning activities, they do not carry any points, but you need to participate in all 5 discussions. Kate and I and some of our guest facilitators, we will respond to some of the posts to further discussions and get those conversations going. And we will have due dates for each of them that are specified in our program schedule. You should also be able to submit all 8 learning activities. Like I said, activities do not carry any points. The quizzes, some of them are quizzes, are knowledge checks, and are simulations that you use to see if you understood how these principles apply to different situations. They have multiple attempts, so no problem in getting some of the answers wrong. We just want to understand and acquire this knowledge. And we will provide formative feedback for each submission, the one that are a little bit more elaborate, which will be, we require you to look at some of your instructional materials or some of the materials you use when teaching your different disciplines or when engaging colleagues in learning about a new topic. So to make sure that you start incorporating these principles. We also require that you participate in the synchronous sessions. We will list a schedule for these 5 sessions in the next slide. And a note on due dates. We have included due dates for each activity as a way to help you go through this program. Of course, you will always have the opportunity to catch up and submit your work. We understand that things can get hectic during the semester, usually around midterms and around the end of the semester. We totally understand. So due dates are there just to help us move along the topics and along the activities, but you will have the opportunity to catch up if you miss something. And actually there's 1 week that it will be just to catch up on anything that you haven't been able to complete. Like I mentioned, we are requiring 5 synchronous sessions. Today is the first one. This is a kickoff session and orientation session. The other 4 sessions will be held on Thursday, specific Thursday, and they will take place at 3 p.m. Eastern. The next one is on September 28th, and the topic will be on disability. For this one, we will have our friend and colleague, Dr. Sherry Ristori from Coastal Carolina University, joining us for this conversation. In October 12th, we'll have one on accessibility. On November 2nd, we will have one on universal design. And on November 16th, we will have a wrap-up next step sessions to get us talking about some actionable steps on moving forward. Sorry about that. And of course, we will provide card in all of these sessions. Please let us know if you need additional accommodations for this synchronous session as well as for the course. Like I stated in the welcome email, we have tried to make everything as accessible and inclusive as possible, but we acknowledge also that we might need to make additional accommodations. So please let us know if you need any additional accommodations. So next, for our program expectations are guidelines for participation. And please be aware that throughout the program, we will be addressing challenging or sensitive topics that may evoke some strong emotions and different perspective. And we encourage you to acknowledge your privilege in this space. Please be mindful of the potential impact of your words on others and prioritize creating a safe and supportive environment for our participants. We will require a lot of learning about disability, and learning about accessibility requires a lot of unlearning, a lot of rethinking and reflection. So please be aware of this throughout the process. Engage with respect, empathy, and constructing language. Sometimes, and we will address ableism in the first module, some of these things are so embedded into society that we are not aware of them. We will not call you out. We will do what we colleague calls it calling in, and we'll help you and give constructive feedback to help start shaping the language and those approaches and how we talk about these topics. And always ask questions. No knowledge is certain. We're all learners in this space, so feel free to ask questions. And let's make this as enjoyable and as good as we can, and let's create a community of learning throughout these 10 weeks. Before we go over the course walkthrough, I want to stop for a moment and see if anyone has a question, comment. You can type it in the chat, or you can come up mute and talk.
I haven't seen any come through on the chat, Rolando. This is Kate.
Perfect. Give me 1 second to share the screen.
Yes,
Okay,
there's a question to share the slides. Oh, there's a question to share the slides. I will drop that link in this chat. And then, yes, absolutely, we'll send that as a follow-up. Yeah.
Yes, we will always share the agenda and the slides for each of the sessions, and we will send the agenda and the slides in advance In the agenda, you can find Zoom link, you can find the slide deck, the evaluation link, so you don't have to keep track of all these things. You can have them in one place, and it's the agenda. So great question. Thanks, Kate, for sharing. So like I mentioned in the welcome email, our course is housed on Canvas, and it's called Teach Access by Design. Once you enter, and you should gain access after starting tomorrow, you will be welcomed by this landing page, and it's a navigation module. You will have on the bottom of your screen four links. The first one is Getting Started, which includes an overview of what you need to understand about the program, about the way the course is organized, the course is built. So then you can engage in your learning experience. Our first one is our module 1, Defining Disability. Our second one is module 2, Accessible Design. And the third one, module 3, is Universal Design. These modules will spend some weeks with each module. Weeks 1 through 3 is for module 1. Weeks 4 to 6, module 2. Week 7 will be our catch-up week, and then weeks 8 to 10 will be our module 3. You can navigate by getting started, pressing on Getting Started, and then use the buttons on the bottom of the screen. 1 second. Sorry about that. You spend some time every semester preparing your classes, building your materials, and something doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Let me see if it works for module 1. Yes. Okay, so for each module, you will get an overview, the learning objectives, and the overview of activities, and you can navigate between the sections using the buttons on the bottom of the screen, Previews and Next. Each section will list the resources, week 1 resources, some guiding questions, and the required resources. For each resource, you will have a resource type, so you know what kind of resource you're engaging with, an estimated reading or viewing time, or reading and viewing time, depending on the resource, and then a resource introduction as well as a citation. We have done our best to include a variety of formats for our learning resources, but still we try to get some various of them, I'm sorry. Then for the activities, you will see the activities listed for each week. They also include the estimated completion time. They might take you a little bit more. They might take you a little bit less. It depends on how much it is very individual, right? And each activity will have the overview, the instructions, and the due date, as well as any question prompts or discussion prompts. If you ever want to go back, you can always press on home. If you prefer another way to navigate, you can always go to modules, and you will see, if you're traditionally used to working with Canvas, you will see each module housed in a box, and then all the resources and pages listed in a order. I will make another pause here to see if there are any other questions. About the course structure, course navigation. Like I said, you should be able to access the course tomorrow. Please make sure that you are able to access it, and let us know if you need any assistance. Come back again to this. And sorry about it, I had skipped this slide, but this is the structure and schedule. Like I said, the module 1 is Defining Disability. The estimated completion time for this one is 8.5 hours and spread within those 3 weeks from September 14 to October 4. Module 2 is Accessible Design, and it has an estimated completion time of 9.8 hours and spread within the weeks of 4 to 6. Like I mentioned, week 7 is catch-up week, October 26th to November 1st, and the module 3, it has an estimated completion time of 12 hours. The completion time includes going through the resources and going through the activities. You can see a breakdown of each of these things in the program schedule that we share. Also, you will have access to the agenda from that same document, and you will have access to the resource. If you're logged in on Canvas, you can press on the resource or on the activities, and it will link you directly to Canvas, to that specific Canvas page. So that's about it for our program expectation list. We wanted to take some time since we are starting to say a new program, and we want you to create this community of practitioners, of learners. So we will be doing an ice breaking exercise. So you will spend 20 minutes together in a breakout room, and we ask you that you engage in conversation to answer each question. First, what inspired you to sign up for Teach Access by Design? Second, what are you hoping to achieve during your time in the program? And third, tell us a passion or hobby outside your professional life, because we are people that are more than work, right? We have other things going on in our life. So tell us about a passion or a hobby outside your professional life, and how might the principles of accessibility apply to or enrich that area of interest. So again, you will spend 20 minutes in the breakout rooms, engage in conversations. If you, like we said, you don't need to have your camera on, you can leave off, or you can write in the chat. You can also come up mute. Spend some time answering these 3 questions about what inspired you to sign up for Teach Access, what are you hoping to achieve during your time in the program, and tell us something additional about yourself. And how these, and think about how might the principles of accessible design or accessibility apply to or enrich that area of interest. Once the time is over, you will be called back into the main room for the next steps and send up. So Kate has shared those questions in the chat, and we're breaking out into rooms in a couple of seconds.
Are there any questions before this is Kate, are there any questions before we go into the rooms at all? None? Okay, so we'll call you back at 48, the 48 minute mark. All right, you ready to open the rooms, Rolando?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Nope. Hold on one second. As per usual, you get it set and then it doesn't work. So let me just refresh it. Okay, so it looks like there'll be somewhere between 3 to 4 people in your rooms. So we will recreate those. There we go. All right, we'll see you soon.
Okay. Welcome back. Let's wait 1 second until everyone gets back into rooms.
Damien, I'm curious, this is Kate speaking. Do you work with Andrew Kirkpatrick at Adobe? Are you yeah?
Yeah, anyone in our field has to.
That's great. He's a great friend and colleague of Teach Access. It's nice to meet you. Good to see everyone back. Okay, 4 seconds. Should do like a big countdown. Okay, so all the rooms are closed now. All right. And we should have mentioned this before, but you've heard Rolando and I, this is Kate speaking, say things like, this is Kate speaking, this is Rolando speaking. That's one of the practices we do in Teach Access from an accessibility standpoint, especially in a large room like this, when you don't initially see who's speaking, to help identify where the voice is coming from, and also for anyone who may be blind or visually impaired. That way they're able to know who's who's speaking, because we've identified ourselves rather than just relying on the window, the name in the window of my face that has my name. So with that, I hope everyone was able to make some good connections. And I will have you take it away, Rolando.
Sure. Thanks, Kate. This is Rolando speaking again. So we want to have 2 minutes more or less. Does anyone want to come forward and talk about some interesting thing they learn, or if they spend the 20 minutes staring at each other or talking about different things, but hey, we want you for you to create community, so that's fair as well. Mary shares that it was an opportunity to meet new friends. Glad to read that, Mary. Anyone else?
This is Mary, and in reference to the new friends that I met, Liz and Hector, there was some really good conversation around universal design for learning. And when you really are designing for those principles that accessibility happens by nature, because you're being so mindful of all potential learners that can enter your classroom. And I just really appreciated the shares from my new friends, because it's going to help us as we start thinking about how we can address faculty training around universal design for learning. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Mary. Go ahead.
This is Karen speaking, and I was in a room with Damien and Alice, and I was really pleasantly surprised to see that they're both going to be bringing perspectives as learners that I will benefit from. So it's not just going to be course content from Teach Access, but getting such different perspectives from their backgrounds, and what they will be bringing to the learning is going to be an unexpected gift, I guess I'll say.
Good. Anyone else wants to share?
Hello, good afternoon. This is Hector Jose speaking. Nice to meet everybody. As Marie was saying, we were talking about the UDL design and how you can incorporate that to improve our teaching process. But also we were talking about if it is a matter of an attitude change, a thought process change, it is more about how I see myself caring for others, and how accessibility always is seen through the people with disabilities, but it is beneficial for everybody.
And Hector there just shared some of the things we will be talking about during the programs, because it's one of the discussions we will be engaging with in terms of how accessibility benefits everyone. And just to give you like a peek behind the curtain, when we decided to include universal design for learning, typically it's not included in these types of trainings, but when we started thinking or shaping this program for educators specifically, we have found that when we're talking to educators, it is easier for them to grasp these technical guidelines and principles, such as the accessibility principle, into their instructional practices when they are integrated with universal design. So we'll spend some time with universal design for learning, and our third module is especially with activities for multiple ways for engaging, participating, etc., and representing. Anyone else before we go into the next steps and reminders? Okay, let me, can you please confirm that you can see the slide deck on the screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So about reminders and next steps, we would really appreciate if you can complete the session evaluation. We have made it as simple as possible, so you feel encouraged to give us your feedback. This is the first time we're offering this program. As Kate mentioned, we're piloting this program. So all your feedback will be used to shape future iterations of this program. And please check the access to the course tomorrow. Let us know if for some reason you are not being able to access the course. Some of the things that we have heard before when they enroll, whether it's in the Teach Access curriculum repository or any of the asynchronous courses, is that they don't know how to get back to it. In the welcome message, we share the link that you can bookmark, so you can always go back and find the course easily. So the next steps, what should we do? We recommend that you familiarize yourself with the platform if you're not used to working with Canvas and with the course structure. We know that each institution has its own way of presenting content to learners. We have worked to make it as intuitive and user-friendly as possible and user-centered as possible. But sometimes it takes some time for people to understand that course structure. Also, review the getting started session, the section that wasn't working when I was trying to highlight it, but it will be available tomorrow. Can assure you that. But it has like the technical requirements, what the icons that you will see in the course means, how things are structured, and what are the next steps, and how you can navigate through the course. And also, we will be including there guest facilitators information as well. Work your way through week 1 resources and activities. There are only 3 resources that you will have to go through and just 1 activity, which is a introduction discussion forum. You have done this, but now we will do it in a discussion board. And finally, mark your calendars for the next synchronous session on September 28th, when Dr. Sherry Ristori will join us to talk more about disability. I will send the calendar invite so you can have it in your calendars as well, with the Zoom link and the agenda as the time approaches. But if you want in the meantime to block the calendar or that date and time, so you don't miss it, as well with the other remaining synchronous session. So these are the next steps. So we would give you one last opportunity to ask if you have any questions, comments, etc., before sending you off to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Kate has shared the session evaluation link in the chat. We will send a follow-up email with the link to the slide deck, with the link to the agenda, and with the link to the recording as well. So you can have those readily available. Okay, if we don't have any more questions or comments, we appreciate for signing up to this program. We also appreciate spending some time with us today. We promise you that the next sessions will be more entertaining than hearing us, Kate and me, speak throughout the session, and you will have more opportunities to connect as a community. We appreciate you being here, and we hope you enjoy these next 10 weeks with us. So have a great afternoon, and see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.